like Meatloaf Boehly, what a PR stunt. Look at me, guys. Yeah, I would do anything for pound notes. And I'm going to sit in a restaurant and I'm going to look like, oh, I'm proper Chelsea and I love Chelsea. And this is all on Siri Merchant at Boehly. What a load of bollocks. So have it right. Up the Chelsea, up the Minerals FC. Big up to every single one of you live and locked in. Hope everyone's doing well in life. First and foremost, I want you all to smash to pieces that like button. If you haven't smashed it, smash it right now. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you do so. We've got the notification bell, ding dong, let's have it right so you know when we go live. And we've got the Minerals FC Ultras membership down below in the description. Salute to all the Minerals FC Ultras. Salute to our Chelsea old boys. We see things they'll never see. And salute to the no surrender mentality. Let's have it right. Big up to everyone. We're going to get straight into it. Because Meatloaf Boehly, I would do anything for pound notes and experience winning. We ain't doing that. We're going to go straight into it. He's decided to go on Bloomberg in Hong Kong. Let's have it right. And thought he'd blabber a load of waffle. So we're going to react to it. And that's what we're going to do. So let's get straight into it. Big up to everyone. Let's land the damn minerals and let's see what old Meatloaf Boehly's got to say.
Chelsea Football Club, there's been a lot of tension between the owners. There's an ownership struggle. Is there a sense, are you any closer to deciding whether or not you'll...
No, I think what the media writes about and talks about is exciting, right? But I just don't think it's realistic.
So what the media writes about is exciting but not realistic. Well, let's have it right. I would say this, yeah? All the narratives pushed out by Blueco, yeah? All the narratives, all the brown envelopes that they fly out, all the journalists in their pocket are fantastic at hiding what their actual agenda is and what they're doing, which isn't realistic. But they're very good at making and getting everyone excited about it. So, yeah, that's a good start.
I think if you look at the evolution of the team, we've been aligned on what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build.
So the evolution of the team, and we're aligned with what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build, which tells you the Civil War PR was a load of waffle. That was to actually mask the reality of the results that were happening at Chelsea at that current time. There is no civil war. I told everyone there's no civil war. Yeah, they're completely all on the same page. Everything that Blueco does and the consortium does, they all have to sign off and agree on. Doesn't matter about their percentage stakes. However, Clearlake, Siri Merchant and Feliciano, they've got the overall say because they're the higher stake holders in the ownership of Blueco, or the holdings of Blueco, let's have it right. So all of that was waffle. And we knew it. I mean, it was clear as day. What we do know now, as we progress into this interview, the real divide in the consortium. And this is what's going to be a real eye-opener for, well, let's have it right, all the eyes wide shut merchants. I mean, the fact that if this doesn't open anyone's eyes as to the reality of what Blueco's all about, then I don't know what does. And you deserve everything you get. So anyway, they're fully aligned. They know what they're doing. This is a long-term plan, and they are executing it. In terms of the evolution of the team, what are we doing here, mate? Yeah? Meatloaf Boehly's, he must be on some heavy gear, bruv, because the evolution, we've had 6 transfer windows, 3 years, 1.5 billion spent, 90 players, all based upon being bought by AI scouting, wage cap. I mean, and what have we got to show for it? No trophies, no Champions League, no competitiveness, no relevance.
It's a team that's young. It's a team that's got long contracts, and all these things were new. And of course, in order to do all those things that we've done, it's obviously because we're aligned. So I think if you look at what's actually happening, and don't follow kind of the shiny light.
Yeah, don't follow the shiny light of the trophies. Oh, mate, you don't want to go anywhere near that. Long contracts, everything aligned as they planned. The long contracts are spread out, as we all know. As Nizar Kinsella decided to talk like Johnny Minerals and expose that they're buying players on a wage cap, long contracts, and players that are on unwanted or even wanted at this rate, that have high value or don't have certain value but have profit in them, will be sold. And that's the model in a nutshell. They're flipping players like burgers in Burger King. The long contracts, they're buying unproven players, a lot of them mid, inexperienced. Long wage structure helps them in the negotiation leverage that they have, so they can obviously demand higher transfer fees because of the contract lengths. But the contracts are on small payroll. As Boehly let everyone know, we go by Brighton model. They're the best run club in the Premier League. They use 10% of the top club's payroll. So in terms of like them earning money, yeah, fits to a bill. But what are you doing? You're stockpiling on players that are locked in for 8 years. And if they're no good, how are you going to sell them? Like now, we have to have an exodus of 11, 12 players. Majority of the players that they bought to convince a fan base that we're in a rebuild again, or that we need to readjust or back Maresca. It's a load of waffle. Like anyone that buys into that, who locks themselves in for 8-year contracts. Now, the players they're enticing are going to take those 8 years because, so have it right, they're not going to turn that down. Oh, pay me for 8 years on 100 grand a week. Yeah, I'll have that all day long. And come to Chelsea and use the elite heritage that Romans built and Bates and the success of Chelsea Football Club over the last 20 years. Well, every kid's going to want to join Chelsea, aren't they?
Right, then you'll see that there's core stability. There's been a long time theme, and I think we're executing on a plan that ultimately will have Chelsea where it belongs.
Where it belongs, yeah. We're not where we belong. And how long do we have to wait? We're 3 years. It's not stable. We are not in a stable. This is not a stable plan. This is not. You haven't laid any foundations. These foundations have been laid on literally paper mache. You know what I'm saying? I would say this. If you're talking about stability, then how is it after 3 years we still haven't got a spine in our team? We still haven't actually got a consistent team set up. We've gone through 3 managers. You've sacked Thomas Tuchel. You've actually had 6 managers on the books. So have it right. And there is nothing stable about that. In fact, you keep going back to the drawing board every season, or at the start of every transfer window. We've had 6 transfer windows. We've been told by Ornstein to judge the project after the 4th transfer window and judge the ownership, to now move to 7 transfer windows. And like I say, you haven't bought an elite goalkeeper, elite centre-back, elite midfielder, and elite striker. So we have none of those of any experience or winning mentality. So you're not building anything stable or anything sustainable for the long term, because most of these players are not even staying for the long term. And what players will stay for the long term if we're not competing at the highest level, which we're not at the moment and haven't been for 3 years? So have it right.
I mean, we're sitting top 4 in the table right now.
But it's not at the top of the table, and some say that perhaps it can be better. But
she's landing minerals, bruv. He's saying we're sitting at top 4 in the table. Yeah, right now we are. And that's the narrative from all the toxic positivity merchants. But we still got games to go this season, and there's no guarantees. I mean, there's a 1 or 2 point difference between us and 7th place. So we could quite easily fall into 7th place or 8th place for that matter. And we've got the hardest run of fixtures compared to any other Premier League team competing for that 5th spot, because that's what we're looking at, 5th spot. We're not looking at top 4. So have it right. Especially with no Cole Palmer, who's injured at the moment. And let's see how long he's out for. Like I say, don't shoot the minerals, man. But the fact is, yeah, we're not happy with that. 3 years in to just try and get top 4. Enzo Maresca, your manager that you hired with Winstanley Stewart, your Yes Men directors, and Egbali's approval, yeah, and obviously his co-sign. He hasn't had any pressure to get top 4. Now there is pressure to get top 4. You need top 4 for the financial reasons, not for the competitive reasons, because we haven't got a squad to compete in the Champions League. We haven't even got a squad to compete for the Premier League title. So that tells you where we are. And the fact that he wants to throw in that we're top 4, well, great. For now, there's no guarantees we're going to stay in the top 4. So that's all hearsay, wishy-washy, paper mache talk.
In terms of ownership, I mean, where is that going? Are you any closer to deciding whether you'll sell your stake
I think
or?
the status quo is something that's just fine. I think we've learned from each other, and I think we're really going to be able to work it out any which way.
So, status quo for the next foreseeable future.
And I think we have to think about long term, what we're trying to accomplish.
Long term, what they're trying to accomplish. I'll tell you what they're trying to accomplish. When they actually bought Chelsea and they created Blueco Holdings, the consortium, predominantly Clearlake, took on a 500 million loan from Ares Management at 13% interest rate, and along with that, a syndicate bank loan of 702 million, according to with Sonia, 7.7% interest rate. That's 1.2 billion on double-digit interest rates, which they have, when they took over the club, are still having to pay back. The long-term plan is to pay that back, and they have to pay that back before they can actually take any profit out of the club. And he's at the bottom of the food chain, so he's more inclined to think of the long term. Boehly and Clearlake and Feliciano, they take first dibs after Ares Management and the syndicate bank loans are repaid with their interest of a 3 times return. And they are also promising everyone in the consortium a 3 times return on their investment. That's why they need 10 years plus, because it's not going to happen in less than that. And this loan can be paid off at any time and based upon the interest that has been amounted and calculated up to the time they want to decide to pay it off. So that's the long-term plan. Without doing that, they can't actually gain the profits and the revenue that they want, because all they're in it for is to generate profit.
We have a big stadium development opportunity that we have to flesh out. And I think that's going to be where we're either aligned or we ultimately decide to go different ways. But
so we have to flush out the stadium plans, because obviously they flushed out Roman Abramovich's entire winning team, Champions League level team, the DNA of Chelsea, gutting everything out of our football club, from the groundsman, tea lady. We've got all the directors, the whole hierarchy, Cobham Training Ground, Neil Bath, Thomas Tuchel. I mean, literally everything's flushed that was there from Roman Abramovich has been flushed down the toilet. And what they've created is a lump of shit. So they need to flush out between themselves about the stadium plans. And if they don't come to an agreement and they don't align, they have to part ways. Well, we were told that they can't sell the club. We were told they can't sell to anyone. So if they have to part ways, they've got to sell. Well, this is my point. They broke up everything at under Chelsea Football Club. They broke up into limited companies. All the assets they split. All right, car park, hotels they sold to themselves. The women's team, the car park, Cobham, everywhere, everything that Chelsea owns. They got Strasbourg there. They got everything under a limited company. They got 18 limited companies under Blueco. All right, under the umbrella of Blueco. So they can sell Blueco to a new owner. It's not, oh, I'll buy you out or I'll buy you out. That's not going to happen, because there's too much money at stake. And let's have it right. You've got Hans Wiz, and you've got Mark Waters, you've got Boehly and Eldridge, and then you've got Clearlake Capital. There's too many fingers in the pie to have it right. Too many cooks in the kitchen, and they can sell the football club. So the bottom line is, regarding the stadium plans, well, they can't do nothing because of the CPO. Chelsea pitch owners haven't bought the short and curlies, and that's where it's going to stay. The Chelsea Supporters Trust need to support the supporters, yeah, and speak to the supporters, and we need to protest against Blueco and get them out. Win, lose or draw, Blueco out. On the other hand, the CPO, well, let's have it right. Why should we move away from Stamford Bridge? We don't want to. We want to stay at Stamford Bridge. We own the name Chelsea Football Club, and we own the pitch. So the bottom line is, unless Blueco have the approval from the CPO, they can't relocate and build. However, they trademarked the name the Chelsea and the logo with LDN. So in their eyes, they don't give a shit about the supporters. They don't give a shit about the CPO. They'll relocate. They'll knock down all the real estate. They'll knock down the stadium, build real estate around the pitch, and have that as a communal garden like Highbury and Arsenal did. Yeah, and then they'll relocate to wherever. They can't get Earls Court. So what? Out of London? You're going to go out of London and move our heritage, our location? I mean, that's just outright arrogance and let's have it right, clownery. Yeah, because no one's going to accept that, but they can do that. They've got the loophole to do that. So I chose supporters going to wake up then when it's really too late, or do you want to be ahead of the curb?
But again, I think that what's been written and what's been talked about, is much more drama than what is actually happening.
Let's talk about that stadium development, because it was something that was top of your agenda coming in. Is that going through, or will you be moving premises?
No, I think
some clarity on
stadium
it.
development is going around the world. Right now, we're going to see Africa build stadiums. Obviously, here in Hong Kong, they're opening their new stadium for the very first time. So stadium development is definitely a theme. You're going to see the NBA go to Europe. You're going to see they need stadiums. They need arenas. Sporting infrastructure. I think we're just on the very front end of the sporting wave, and sporting infrastructure is going to be a big thing about it. We have 16, 20 years to figure out. Obviously, inside of London, it's really complex, but it's not as if we're building something in the middle of a rural environment. So we have a lot of constituencies to make sure that we care about.
Yeah, that'll be the CPO. Let's have it right. And you're in the most prime real estate, so you do want to knock our stadium down to rebuild real estate, because that'll be a gold mine. But he's talking about we've got 16, 20 years. No, you don't, mate. You do not have 16, 20 years. By then, we'll be in Division 2. Yeah, the way we're going on a footballing level. Yeah, because the focus is not about football. The focus is about, as he says, building they're on the first wave of the sports infrastructure. It's all about the infrastructure. When Boehly come in and first spoke, he said he was talking about the pyramid of football, changing the fabric of football, having a north and south series, basically trying to generate more money out of the Premier League. Well, this is what it's all about. They're here to change the infrastructure and the blueprint of football. And they're using NBA and NFL and their models to do that. Talking about other countries building stadiums, they can do what they want. We've got no interest in that. Yeah, but the interest is what? The stadium rebuild. That is the stumbling block. That is what the Civil War's about. Clear Lake don't really. Their focal point is the Brighton model and the footballing side. Boehly's more the marketing, branding, stadium rebuild, infrastructure, software, and we got Vivid Seats in there. Vivid Seats. No one wants to talk about Vivid Seats, but he's gonna talk. I'm gonna explain why I'm bringing up Vivid Seats.
Certainly, the Chelsea fan base is one, but long term, in the middle of a rural environment. So we have a lot of constituencies to make sure that we care about. Certainly, the Chelsea fan base is one.
They don't care about the Chelsea fan base. They absolutely do not. I mean, this guy never addresses us on a personal level. So-called has a relationship with Chelsea Supporters Trust, which we don't hear about and ain't going nowhere because he's mugging us off with Vivid Seats. He's a chairman at our football club as a co-owner, earning 20 million a year. He's stopping all members. He's taking membership money, but members can't get tickets because Vivid Seats have first dibs before they've even gone sale at the club. And that's going to the international fan. It's not over here. So doesn't want to address that. Doesn't want to do, even though Sir Jim Rat is a wrong un. At least he's gone and addressed the Man United supporters with Gary Neville. This guy ain't done nothing. All he does is sit on Bloomberg's and Forbes.
But long term, I think we're going to be building something new, and we'll figure it out.
Let's talk about that value.
So long term, they're thinking about building something new. So they don't want to rebuild at Stamford Bridge. They want to build a new stadium in its entirety. Well, good luck with that. The CPO are going to block you And I'm definitely going to be one of them. No one's going to allow that. So they're in a pickle. They're in a big, big pickle. And make long continue. And now you're going to have an agenda from all the Gen Z in your mum's basement wanking in a sock playing football manager merchants, the toxic positivity merchants, the blue co merchants. And you're like, oh, the CPO are stopping us from having an elite stadium. They don't care about Chelsea. They call us yerdas and all that. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to create a divide and conquer tactic. They're going to try, they're focusing on the international fan, not the Chelsea supporters that go home and away in Europe, that live in the country. As Vivid Seats sponsors, let's have it right, sponsors the international fan. There's nothing wrong with international fans, but don't take the piss out of the ones that are actually here, that be here, legacy fans that were here before these lot even entered the arena, bruv.
You paid $2.5 billion for Chelsea FC.
Yeah.
Is the club worth less now that it hasn't won any trophies, that it didn't qualify for the European Champions League, or is it worth more just because of, the league being so popular?
I think the trend is our friend, in this industry.
The trend is our friend. So what he means by that is they are setting the trend of the new age model in football. These lot have been put at Chelsea with the help of the UK government, who also the UK government want to help them fund the stadium, because they're talking about a new stadium build. Yeah, well, they ain't got the funds to do that. They're already in debt. They're up to their eyeballs in debt. Their credit cards are maxed out, bro. Yeah, American Express cards are all maxed out, mate. Yeah, so they need some sort of funding from somewhere. The UK government have broadcasted that they will help them. Yeah, but the reality is they're setting a trend in the Premier League, hiding behind FFP to justify the Brighton model on an elite club status and level.
I think the opportunity to be able to grow the fan base around the world, right? Because
so they want to grow the fan base around the world. How are you going to grow the fan base if we're not relevant and we're not winning and we're not actually competing on any level, which we haven't since these clans have walked through the door at our football club? Our brand, our fan base is bigger than Arsenal, yeah? And that's thanks to Don Roman and Don Roman's success. If you're successful in winning trophies, you're relevant. You grow your fan base, yeah? You grow your brand, yeah? These lot are destroying our brand. These lot are mugging us off. These lot are creating a mockery out of our football club. But it's all about building the international fan brand and base. So have it right. He's recently teamed up with Rock Nation with a company called Fanatic, which is a merchandising company. Boehly also has Eldridge. He has Rolling Stones. He has Golden Globes. He's in Hollywood. This is his market. This is his game. He's got no interest in football. And Boehly and Clearlake, they've just bought a Wall Street data and analyst company or software, because that's what they're driven by. Yeah, they're equity merchants. They got no interest in football. The project's not for football. The project's for building equity, making money and profits and real estate and branding.
Unlike American sports, we have the ability to grow internationally and build our own revenue base, on that international fan base. So,
well, he's growing revenue with using Vivid Seats. I'll tell you that now. He's absolutely growing revenue. That's a main part of the mechanics of them biding time, having the stadium capacity that we currently got of 41,000, to try and generate money and profits from ticketing, using the international fan base, using Vivid Seats, extorting everyone, charging up to £20,000 a ticket to compensate for that in the meantime. And while they're doing that, they're conning an entire fan base using Matt Law, Ornstein, The Athletic, Nizar Kinsella, Ben Jacobs, all the usual journalists, Fabrizio Romano, to buy into a trust the process, project that is not for football, but only to give the illusion it's for football, and everyone's buying into it, drinking it all in, drinking them fortune minerals in. And we've got nothing to show for it because there is nothing to show for it. It's an unproven model in the history of football.
I think the opportunity is enormous. I think the Premier League is, sitting in a great place. I mean, one of the frustrating things as Chelsea owner is that the Premier League's become so competitive. But one of the great things about being in the Premier League is it's gotten so competitive.
He's frustrated as a Chelsea owner because of the competitiveness of the Premier League. Yeah. So they had no idea how competitive the Premier League was when they bought this football club, because their forefront wasn't football. Let's remind everyone, that Boehly thought, and the ownership thought, there was no relegation, that the Champions League was an automatic qualification. They suggested the 4-4-3 formation, he said we'd beat Real Madrid 3-0 at the Bernabeu. They didn't understand and think that there was competitiveness in football, and it's taken them by surprise. But of course, because it doesn't exist in US sports, bruv. It doesn't exist. But yet they've used a debt management strategy using unproven kids. And when these kids finally grow, they're not going to be at this football club. So when you talk about the competitive Premier League, I want to remind Boehly, this is right now the weakest Premier League ever in the history of football in terms of competitiveness. It's been absolute dross, and this guy talking about competitiveness, well, how about you get us to compete? Because we've had 3 years of no trophies, no Champions League football, no relevance, I have to laugh, bruv. You've gone through 3 managers, spent 1.5 billion, bought unproven kids. We got 90 players, all based on AI scouting. I have to keep saying this because these are the facts. We're not competing on any level, and we're just trying to get Champions League football because obviously that's about broadcasting, advertising. You've given us no shirt sponsor for a whole season and pretty much the first quarter of a season, the season before that. And you're in debt of 1.2 billion with double-digit interest rates. We're a shambles, and we ain't going to compete on any level. So how about you sack those 2 directors, you scrap the Brighton model? Oh, yeah, you can't, because the model's based upon the debt that you've taken upon yourselves on Blueco using Chelsea Football Club.
So, the depth and the quality of the teams are unlike any other league in Europe.
The depth and quality of other teams are still poor in comparison to what we've witnessed over the years in the Premier League history. But what about our depth? Our depth's a shambles. Absolute shambles. So the quality's even lower, and you lot are struggling with the competitiveness. Mate, we're in the mud.
Or anywhere in the world. So I think that the whole element of what's going on, because I don't think it's not really a derivative of did it win last year or did it win this year, right? I mean, this is a club that just celebrated its 120th anniversary.
Well, when you took over, we were a club that were champions of the world. And previous to that, we won the Super Cup and the Champions League for the second time. And we were getting top 4. But it's not about winning what we won last year or this year. So basically what he's letting you all know, for all you toxic positivity merchants, is they don't care about winning. Winning trophies, it doesn't mean you have to be... winning trophies doesn't bring you the success on a financial level. They can make financial success without winning. Look at Spurs. Prime example. They got no intent to win, and the model tells you that. So what's everyone lapping up?
And
so it's more valuable than what you paid for?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Wow. So, like I've already stated, and he's just stated now, the club is more valuable now than when they bought it. Well, they forgot to mention that they got it at a cut price because Don Roman was sanctioned by the UK government and robbed of his club. And they've still got his money earning interest to this day. We're coming into 4 years. So they can sell the club and still make money. So they're better off doing that and cutting their losses. Which they won't make a loss, will they?
Where do you go from here? Because I know that I think you and your group bought a cricket team recently.
Yes.
Would you be interested in buying a cricket team in India, for instance? The IPL is huge. There's a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Is it something you might consider?
I mean, blimey, the geezer can't even run our football club properly. Doesn't even know what he's doing. They do know what they're doing on a financial level because that's what it's all about. But on a footballing, sporting level, they ain't got a Scooby. And this guy's buying cricket clubs now. What's he know about cricket? It's all opportunist. Everything's opportunity. Like it says there, Boehly on opportunities in sports. It's all about getting your octopus tentacles on everything you can get hold of. Anything or anything. But what they do with it, mate, is gut it all out and rebuild it that they want to do it. And as they're doing now, everything's built by design. The layer cake at Chelsea and Blue Coat is built by design. It's not by mistake. They're not making mistakes. This is all pre-planned.
We haven't studied it, but this is one of the things we always like to do is to make small investments to figure out the landscape around us. And the opportunity in England is a small investment in a cricket club that will give us a lot more knowledge, a lot more insight, and we'll follow our experience and we'll follow our knowledge base. But if you look at kind of our whole investment strategy, we started out as lenders, right? And when you're lending, we also call that we would date through the debt. We get to know a company, we get to know an.
Well, they're definitely dating through the debt with Aries management. And the syndicate bank loans, mate. I tell you that now because they've got it's probably come up to about 1.4 billion already, maybe more, 1.5 billion. And they've spent 1.5 billion on this dross of a 90-man squad.
Industry, and as we got more and more comfortable, then we would expand further into the capital structure. So I think cricket's a perfect example of that. We love sport. We love what sport means. We love competition, and
well, they don't love the competition because they can't compete, and they don't love the sport because they don't know anything about the sport, and they're from different cultural backgrounds in terms of sport because they come from Moneyball, NFL, NBA. So they've got no idea. They call us customers, for crying out loud, not supporters.
The opportunity in cricket in the UK we thought was a very unique opportunity, and whether that leads us to further development. I think having...
You're not saying no.
I'm not saying no, but I think I'm definitely not saying no. But I think Mark Walter and I have the potential to build probably the preeminent sports platform in the world.
Key, very key. Him and Mark Walters is part of the consortium on Boehly's side. They're going to build what? Let's play it again.
Potential to build probably the preeminent sports platform in the world. Right?
A sports platform. Yeah.
Right, so that's one of the things that's continuously on our minds, and a global footprint for a top sports company.
A global footprint for a sports company. They are here to change the pyramid and fabric of football. Mark Walters owns a hockey league in America. All right. I told you what these lot are about. These lot are here to instill a new footprint, a new blueprint to change the fabric, dynamics, and pyramid of our English game and of sports as a whole. And they're going to run it all channeled through their platform, which is going to be digital.
In the world, right? Sounds pretty interesting.
What do you make of valuations? Are these sports groups and teams getting way expensive? If you take a look at, I think it was Celtic that went for more than $6 billion, and that possibly was the most expensive I guess, purchase in North American history.
Yeah, I think if you look at what's going on in the NFL right now, right? The Eagles just traded for roughly $8.5 billion, I think, or $7.5 billion, something like that. So, a 10% non-controlling stake just traded at, north of that 6.1. That 6.1 reflects the fact that time shifts for any other media, right? But in the sports, you have to watch it live, so you're going to get a giant audience, and you're going to be able to talk to that audience in a very kind of direct way, right? If you're a media company, if you're an advertising company, so the fact
monetize content, advertising, broadcasting, generate revenue.
Is everything else is time shifting, and sports continues to get people's attention at that moment in time. That's extremely unique. So, right, I think when you think about the future of valuations, in the sporting industry, right, the whole NFL,
right, the future of valuation. So what their ultimate goal with Chelsea, for example, is to build the value of Blue Co, not Chelsea Football Club. So building the value of Blue Co is you've stripped all the assets, you've made them into limited separate companies, 18 companies. You're building the brand, you're building the network. You've got Vivid Seats mixed in there. You've got a whole network set up, a blueprint, a footprint for English football, that you can sell that entire model to another company. And that's where they make their multi-billions.
It's probably worth 300 billion. Netflix trades at 400 billion right now. I'd rather own a share in the NFL at 300 billion than a share of Netflix at 400 billion. The fact is, when you own and control intellectual property like that, you're only limited by your creativity as to where it can go. So I think that the industry is going to continue to go up in value, but it's because there's more attention, more revenue coming in its direction. So it's not as if these valuations aren't making sense. They continue to make sense, and there's very few of them.
Always about increasing revenue and value. That is all we hear from these wrong-uns, mate.
Right, but they're the beating heart around the industry, and then you have all these other industries developing around the beating heart, and the beating heart continues to go up in value. All the other ancillary activity is going to continue to go up in value.
So the beating heart is these lot. These lot are the heartbeat of the industry, and everyone else is going to be a ripple off it. And those business waves, those monetary waves, are all going to benefit each other from the heartbeat and the platform that Boehly wants to implement, the model that they're implementing. And they're using Blue Co as a key component and evidence to advertise to everyone else in the industry. This is how you do it. This is how you generate more money, because everything in football has hit its ceiling. Every profit-making scheme and avenues hit its ceiling. These lot are here to implement the new age model to generate much higher revenue on a massive, large scale, bro.
What next for you? What are you eyeing? What would you like to buy? What would you like to expand?
I think we're really excited about a couple of our businesses right now. Metropolis, we're the largest parking lot operator in the U.S.,
which is AI based.
We have over 2 million sites, 2 million parking spots, and we're integrating all this with technology and computer vision and large language models. And we just bought a facial recognition business. And
facial recognition business, AI. Clearlake have bought Wall Street's data and analyst company. You can see where it's going. Vivid Seats is all digital, online. Everything they're doing, AI scouting, which he's fully aware of, to buy players, sell players. So have it right.
I think one of the things we're seeing, right, is the fact if you want to be efficient with time, you have to trade your privacy, right? So ultimately, we went on that journey when we started with the smartphone. The smartphone really creates time. It creates, the opportunity to be more efficient. And now I think we're going to continue along that journey, but you're going to get to a point where you're going to be able to walk into a store and they're going to have everything laid out for you. You're going to be able to try it on. You're going to be able to leave, right? So You're just all about saving time. Time is the denominator in all of these equations.
And it's time that these lot need. They need the time. If they don't have time, they can't execute their plan, which is why I'm telling everyone, win, lose or draw, Blue Co out. Anyone who watches that, where he's not mentioned winning, competing at the highest level, Chelsea to be back, to dominate, then what are you sponsoring? What are you promoting here? You're promoting failure and you're promoting to feed their pockets. All this buying young players on low wage structures and building for the future is a fugazi. It's delusion. It's never worked in the history of football. And I'm talking football because we're football supporters. We're not financial experts. We're not interested in the finances. We don't care if you spend what you spend or how you do what you do, as long as we're competing and winning. We've got no relevance. We're a laughing stock. We're going out buying more young'uns. We need a striker, and they've spent 70 million, all right, on two starlets, two kids from Sporting. There's no intent with that. It's all about generating revenue. Also, what's broken out, which is very important, very, very important, which I'm going to read you right now. And everyone smash that like button as well. Everyone smash that like button. Yeah? Boehly currently favours a move to Earls Court Clear Lake. Meanwhile, haven't yet formulated a singular preference since a thorough assessment of all options. Yeah? There is said to be no prospect of Boehly selling his stake on its own to Egbali and Feliciano, so Clearlake would also have to buy out Wiz and Walter at a total cost of more than 1.5 billion to enable both to make a profit. They will not sell unless they make their profit and get what they want in return for that period. They're not locked in for 10 years. The 10 years is to buy them time. 16 to 20 years is Boehly talking on a long-term plan where they still own assets. Even though they sell Chelsea Football Club, they own the freeholds and the assets to continue making money. Yeah, we need to cut the cants out of football. These lot are here to change the game of football and destroy it. And they already destroyed our football club and they will destroy football. So either you wake the fuck up, all right, and get on the program of get Blue Co out, or literally you deserve everything you get. It's gone beyond talking about football. We've just heard Sancho is Ornstein's confirmed. Yeah, it's 5 million fee, is it? A 5 million penalty fee? I don't think so. I don't believe that. I believe it's much more than that. They're going to keep him, pay 25 million and sell him because he's on 300 plus grand a week. Yeah? We're not going to buy any elite strikers, Gikares, Osimhen's, Isaks. We're not buying these players. So when are you going to fucking wake up? You're not going to wake up. You're still buying into it. And all you brown envelopes, yeah, I'm going to continue fucking slicing and dicing you lot. You're an absolute disgrace. You brought us where you are. You brought us to where we are. You've allowed this Clown Lake operation to destroy a football club. Well, I'm not. I'm going to keep fighting. And I will not stop. It's an absolute disgrace what is going on. Yeah? Absolute disgrace. So, everyone, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, put all your comments down below. Salute to all the Minerals FC Ultras. Salute to our Chelsea old boys. We see things they'll never see in the no surrender mentality. I'm out. I'm done. That's just roused me up. But do put all your comments. Land your minerals in the comments. And respect to everyone in here. Salute.